All right, today we're going to talk about one of the most popular pets on the entire planet. And yeah, you probably think you know the budgie, but I'm telling you, there is a wild story of survival, super smarts, and social connection all packed into that tiny little bird. So let's get into it and uncover the real story of the brilliant budgie.
You know, our fascination with these little guys is nothing new. Way back in the 1800s, an ornithologist named John Gould was already just completely captivated by them. His words really kicked off this journey that took the budgie from the middle of Australia to living rooms all over the world, making it this cultural symbol of a happy little friend.
And this is the picture most of us have in our heads, right? The single, colorful companion sitting on a perch. They become such a common sight in our homes, known for being so bright and easy to care for.
But what if I told you that this familiar image, it doesn't even begin to tell the whole story? That behind this simple pet is a nomadic survivor, a social butterfly, and, honestly, a tiny genius. Let's find out what's really going on.
To really, truly understand the budgie, we have to forget the pet store for a minute. We have to go all the way to its home, the huge, dry interior of Australia. This is where its story really begins.
So here's the most important thing to get. These birds are not built to stay put. At all. They are born travelers. Their whole life in the wild is just one long journey, constantly on the move, chasing the rains to find water and the grasses they need to eat.
And they do not make this journey alone, not even close. We're talking about gatherings that are just epic, a massive, swirling, chirping cloud of birds. But just how many are we talking about here?
This is what it looks like. In the wild, when conditions are right, their flocks can swell into the many thousands. It's an absolutely breathtaking sight, and it just completely flips our idea of that single pet budgie on its head. They are deeply, profoundly social creatures.
Okay, so living in a community that big means you need a pretty sophisticated way to communicate, right? I mean, how do thousands of birds coordinate everything? Well, it all comes down to the language of the flock.
Budgies form incredibly strong bonds. For starters, they're typically monogamous. They mate for life. And they keep those bonds strong by doing things like preening each other. But the most amazing part might be how they talk. They're what's called open-ended learners, which means they can learn new calls their entire lives. It's kind of like learning a new local dialect every time you move to a new town just to fit in with the crowd.
Now, living in a place as harsh as the Australian outback, well, that requires a very specific set of tools just to survive. So let's take a look at the survivor's toolkit that makes these birds perfectly built for their environment.
First up, their diet. Budgies are what scientists call granivorous, which is just a fancy way of saying they eat seeds and grains. And that beak isn't just for chirping, it's a precision tool, perfectly shaped to peel the husks off seeds super quickly and efficiently.
But their most incredible adaptation, it might be something we can't even begin to imagine. So, while we see the world in, a rainbow of colors, budgies see all of that, plus ultraviolet light. They are literally seeing a whole other layer of reality that is completely invisible to us.
So, what does that actually mean for a budgie? Well, get this. The yellow feathers on their head have pigments that reflect that UV light. So to another budgie, those feathers don't just look yellow, they literally glow. This probably plays a huge role in how they check each other out and pick a mate.
So they're tough survivors. They're complex communicators. But we're just getting to the most mind-blowing part. The sheer brain power that is packed inside that tiny little head.
Seriously, the budgie brain is no joke. Studies have shown they can solve problems that take multiple steps, they have long-term memory, and they can even recognize individual people's faces and voices. And here's the key. They don't just mimic sounds. They can actually learn to use words in context. It's no wonder either. Their brain-to-body size ratio is huge, right up there with some apes.
This ability to talk has a scientific name. It's called vocal learning, and it is a super rare skill. The ability to learn and reproduce new sounds is just not common in the animal kingdom. Other than us humans, really only a few other groups like dolphins, bats, and other parrots have this amazing talent.
So, just how far can this talent go? Well, prepare to be amazed. One budgie in particular didn't just learn a few phrases. He took this ability to a level that is almost hard to believe. His vocabulary reached this many words.
Everyone, meet Puck. In 1995, he got the Guinness World Record for the largest vocabulary of any bird.
a staggering 1,728 words. And what's so important is that it wasn't just random mimicking. His owner actually documented him forming his own original sentences that made sense in context. Puck is the ultimate example of the incredible potential hiding inside these little birds.
So finally, let's bring this whole story full circle and take a look at the Budgie's journey through life, from a tiny egg all the way to a flock elder.
So, raising a family usually happens after a good rain. The female will find a nice, safe little hollow in a tree and lay about 4 to 8 eggs. She sits on them for around 18 days, and once those tiny, helpless chicks hatch, Dad takes over the grocery shopping, bringing food back for the entire family. Then, after about 35 days, the babies are big enough to leave the nest and join the flock.
And this brings us to a pretty dramatic difference: their lifespan. Life in the wild is really tough. Between predators and just the harsh environment, they usually only live for about 2 to 4 years. But, as you can see, in the safety of a home with plenty of food and care, they can live for 8 to 15 years, sometimes even longer. Some have been known to live past 20, which is just a testament to the care they can receive.
So, from those massive nomadic swarms in Australia to the record-breaking mind of Puck, the budgie is so much more than just a pretty pet, right? They tell a story of incredible adaptation, deep intelligence, and a powerful need for social connection. Which kind of leaves us with one last thought. The next time you hear a little budgie chirp, what incredible story do you think they're trying to tell?